What's going on, and welcome back to another less than 5-minute gear review. And in this video we are going to be going over none other than the Ferro Concepts Bison belt. Now this guy is going to cost you roughly around 215 bucks, but when it comes down to it, a lot of the guys that I know that are running this belt speak very highly of it and say that it is pretty much the industry standard across the board right now. And that's comparing a lot of other belts to this belt, like the Ronin Task Force, the AWS SMU belt, the 21st Tactical belt, the Lead Devil belt, as well as some of the other belts that are new to the industry, like the Axle, as well as the GBRS that is kind of been collabed with London Bridge. So with that, I'm going to dive right into this. I'm super excited about running this belt. I just got it. I've been waiting probably about a year for this belt. I am going to get one in tan, so that way for both of my kits, both my OD green plate carrier and kit setup, as well as my Coyote tan, I have both systems to be able to run this and really test it out and figure out why everybody really speaks highly of this. So just speaking from the surface though, when it comes to the overall setup and construction of this thing, you do have a pretty low profile Cobra belt buckle, as well as a pretty robust D-ring, so that way you can run lanyards and all of that on this belt. Whether it's just going to be a drag lanyard for dragging your buddy out of a bad situation and providing medical aid, or tying into a helicopter or vehicle, you have some options as far as what and how you want to use and configure that. When it comes to the rest of the construction, you do have your inner belt, so it is a 2-belt system with your inner and your outer belts. As far as the exterior belt goes, you have your thermoplastic Tigris, I believe it's called, material that's going to run through the entire thing, backed right behind it with tubular nylon, and then you have some pretty robust and strong but thin nylon loops for your molly across the entire belt system. So this thing is pretty strong and robust. I would absolutely trust my life with this thing. I don't know if it's climbing rated or not, but I would assume that it probably has the capability of doing quite a bit when it comes to climbing, with an addition of a harness or leg loop system. So with that, you do have a little bit of adjustment on this guy as well, which is always nice. So you can adjust this based off of your waist size. I've found that when it comes to these guys, typically, like, I would run a large belt, but with these guys it's one size small, so a medium belt is where I'm sitting at with one of these guys. I do know another guy that bought a large version, and it was really, really big, and he was actually more on the medium side. So just take that into consideration when you're really looking at the belt sizes. You really got to pay attention to that with some of these belts. Ronin Tactics is an example of something that's probably going to be more true to size when it comes to your belt size, where if you're a large, you're probably a large. This guy is a little bit more specific, so you're really going to have to take those measurements seriously. With that, though, interior, you do have your Velcro on the interior, or your hook Velcro. And then, last but not least, you have your inner belt. Now, I'm going to personally say that I think this thing is kind of cheap when it comes down to it. I love Ferro Concepts. I think they build an awesome product for a lot of different things, but I think that this inner belt is just too thin, too flimsy for my liking. A lot of movement, a lot of play, a lot of adjustment, where I prefer running something that's a little bit more rigid on the inner belt, just because I like that feeling of how secure everything is with that more rigid kind of, you could say, folded over nylon, where they're taking the nylon and they're going over twice, or they're going all the way around and then they fold it and come all the way back. So I prefer that, or just something that's a lot more rigid. Not to say that this probably isn't a really good product, it's just not something that I like when it comes to the industry. For inner belts, I prefer something rigid, so I probably will never use this. So if somebody needs it, just let me know. Be more than happy to hook you up with that. But anyways, going back to this belt, I do highly recommend it. There's already a lot of things that I've been thinking about when it comes to the setup of this belt, and how things like magazine blade tech clamps that you can just clamp your magazine pouches onto will work on this system, in conjunction with some of the other mid-ride loop drops would go, other pouches and setups and configurations. So I think when it comes down to it, this thing is going to crush it, and I look forward to really testing it. So stick around. Definitely keep an eye out for some videos of gear in action. I'll probably start a separate series because I've been thinking about it for a while, where all the gear that I've been reviewing, you get to see it in action, and it's just strictly range videos and training videos with pretty much all the gear that I have. So with that, if you have any questions, please feel free, leave a comment. We'll answer any questions that you have, help you determine whether or not you want to go with this belt or any of the other belts that are out on the market and in the industry. And with that, like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.